Welcome everybody to the Chinchilla Pickin' Podcast. It is February the first 2026 at 4:05 p.m. My name is David Underwood. As always, we hope to be entertaining, educational, and uplifting because we want everyone to make money. I am joined by the one and only, the Baron of Bonds himself, Brandon Beaver. Brandon, what is up?
I just actually bought a treasury last week.
Did you really? Did
Yeah.
you put like 2 million, 3 million? What you put in
No,
treasury?
no, it was small. It was very small.
So that came up. A couple of people asked me questions about buying treasuries. Can you buy treasuries for just $10? That was the actual
No,
question.
no.
All right.
There might be some app out there or something that splits it up and lets you buy in micro pieces, but it's probably one of those deals where you don't actually own the treasury yourself. I don't know. I don't know. I use Schwab. It's
You
minimum
Schwab.
$1,000 usually is the minimum, depending on what you're buying.
Gotcha. That's good to know for someone who's listening because, as we get into things and sometimes we mention treasuries, they'd be like, "Hey, I wouldn't mind a treasury," but yeah, you got to have a minimum 1,000 because
Right.
we have a large array of listeners. We have some listeners that have hundreds of thousands of dollars. We have some that have millions. But then we have a lot of listeners that are putting $20, $50, $100 a paycheck into their, Robinhood or Schwab or TD Ameritrade or whatever account, and they're trying to learn how to trade with that. And so we
Right.
want to really talk to everybody and spend time. Hey, this is what you do. This is what you can do. Here's some options for you.
Sure.
So, this past week we didn't have a podcast. There was a lot of snow in our neck of the woods in the United States. We did get a lot of snow. I did ski in the middle of my street in my neighborhood. I was having fun doing that. That was the highlight of that was the peak, the highlight of my week. It just went downhill because I'm skiing from there. Horrible joke, horrible joke. But it was fun. How about you, Brandon? This past week.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still having issues with my neck, which is why we didn't have the podcast last week. I had my epidural the Monday prior, and for a little bit, it actually made things worse again. But it's getting better now. So as soon as this gets cleared up, we'll be back on track and be doing shows every week. But unfortunately, last week was just another bad day for me on Sunday. I'm better now, so hopefully that
Right.
continues.
I tell you what, Nick, other Nick Vote or Nick Young, either Nick. I will be in Switzerland next week. If you guys want to jump in and do the podcast, maybe we have both Nicks. You can have two Nicks and a Brandon. Call it,
Maybe. All right.
um, and do the podcast next week. That'd be great because I will be in Switzerland hanging out with our Swiss listeners. I'll be in Zermatt skiing,
Are
seeing
you
the
gonna have your
mountains.
laptop with you?
I will not.
Man. See, I was gonna
I
say
am
you
bringing.
get
I
the
am
trip to
bringing a
Switzerland. That'd be
tablet. I'm
sweet.
bringing a tablet, so I could do a tablet with me. I'll have my tablet and my phone, and those two things are what I'm going to have. But the tablet's got to run off Wi-Fi, so I'm hoping I get Wi-Fi. If not, I'm just going to use it to take pictures and video.
It's 2026. You'll have Wi-Fi.
I'm sure. I'm
Yeah.
sure. It's Zermatt. I mean, come on. They got to
I
have
will
Wi-Fi
say this
everywhere.
though, like I've been talking recently about going out to like a cabin in the woods or somewhere and just no Wi-Fi, no electronics, maybe have a television there and that's it, but just completely disconnect from the world because I got to tell you, like my tech anxiety is like way high right now. Like the doom scrolling and all that stuff, getting sick of it.
I
Got to get
did
away.
that. I did that for a couple days and it was great. It was fabulous. The only person I told everybody I wouldn't have service. I lied. I only texted two people though. So and I told everybody else I didn't have service. It was great. It was
Yeah,
fabulous. I
yeah.
ended up texting you guys in the group chat. In fact, I did end up texting you guys in the group chat. You make fun of me for having a campfire and drinking Coke Zeros. You guys were like, "Oh, wild night for David, Coke Zeros, huh?" So whatever, have at it. That
Hey,
was fun
that's
for me. I
yeah.
enjoyed
I
it.
mean, it is what it is. You know, at least you
Right?
got to. You know what? You got to enjoy it sober. You remember every bit of it, which is awesome,
Yeah, I don't drink at
right?
all, so I remember
Yeah,
everything. Unfortunately, nowadays.
yeah. I honestly haven't had alcohol in over a year now, maybe even longer. Actually, probably longer than that. I think it's been years with an
Yeah,
S
it's
on
been
the end of it.
longer than that for myself, and I enjoy it. I enjoy it. I've lost all this weight. I'm very active. I box, I run, I work out at the gym, CrossFit, hit workouts, whatever you want to call it. It's fabulous. I have a lot of fun, a
Good
lot of
stuff.
fun. My boxing trainer, he's a guy. He's been training boxers for 40 years. He's one of the best in the Cincinnati area. Great guy, great coach. He's like Mickey off of Rocky.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, he's very much like Mickey off of Rocky, kind of
Yeah.
guy. But I love it. It's good times.
Good times. All right.
Good
What are we
times.
getting into today?
All right, today, we got a number of things to cover. There's a slew of earnings coming out this week. We'll get into that in a minute. I know Brandon, you have a lot you want to get into, so let's just hop into it. Rules. Brandon and I get together 5 to 10 minutes before the show, and we tell each other what we're going to talk about. I told Brandon today. Brandon did not tell me. It's going to be a big surprise for me, whatever comes out of Brandon's mouth next. So let's hear it, and I'm be ready to go ahead and counter and disagree with you, Brandon. Go right ahead.
You know what? It was a crazy week for me. Earnings for Netflix the week before, prior to that, which I bought more stock of prior to those earnings.
Yeah, why
I
they
thought it was going
drop?
to go
Why
up.
did Netflix drop? I didn't see the earnings. Why did they drop?
Well, they paused the buyback program until the Warner Brothers deal is through, and then they also changed the Warner Brothers deal to all stock or all cash. I mean, and I feel like they kind of felt like their earnings were going to drop after the report, which is why they probably changed it to all cash. Because if the Warner Brothers deal was tied to the Netflix stock and the Netflix stock drops 10%, then the Warner Brothers deal is worth less, and then maybe Warner Brothers starts playing with the idea of accepting Paramount's offer.
Gotcha.
But $27.75, that's what they're buying it for. And then plus you're going to get the legacy media that Netflix doesn't want. That's going to spin off to Warner Brothers Discovery, I think is what that is, or the Discovery stock or something. I don't know. I pay attention to it because I don't care. I don't want it. I was a part of the Comcast spinoff and the legacy media deal with that. And that was absolutely awful, disastrous, trash spinoff. So I don't want anything to do with that myself.
Will they
And
spin it off
nobody
and
wants
sell?
the
Will,
linear
will they
media.
sell it at a discount to Paramount?
Maybe. I don't know how. I didn't look at that part of the deal, to be honest with you.
I mean, that may be a compromise for
Yeah.
Paramount there, as they
Yeah.
get that part of it. But
Uh,
I think Paramount really wants the DC Comics, the Dune, all the Warner Brother. I mean, the not Warner Brother, TCM. All the history of HBO and the movies
right.
within that it brings with it.
Right.
Because there's a lot. I used to have an HBO Max subscription, and there's a lot of historic movies and great movies all the time that come with that package.
Yeah, there is, and then you also have stuff like The Sopranos and Game
Yeah,
of Thrones, and it, HBO seems to have like a generational hit, like about every decade. But when you're basing your valuation off a generational hit every decade, and you're looking for what's next, there's uncertainty there, and there's obviously going to be some sort of premium that investors are looking for on the valuation.
I think that DC Comics was a big play as well. I know that Marvel has had a drop off because of too many spinoffs, too many inroads down. They're hoping that Doctor Doom next this year in 2026 is going to bring it back. And so I'm thinking Netflix might want to try to compete with that with some
Yeah.
DC comic movies.
They really framed this deal as a defensive move, which I think kind of scared off some investors. And I believe they were framing it as a defensive move, for regulators who may be listening to it and, thinking about blocking the deal. And they're saying, no, we need this in order to stay competitive with Disney and, all of the other streaming players that have entered the space. The report wasn't really that bad. Revenue was up 12 to 14% year over year. For the outlook, for the guidance. That's the guidance. I'm sorry. The guidance is up 12 to 14% year over year. Operating margin is 31.5% for this coming year. That's what they're guiding for. It's up a little bit, actually, despite all the capital expenditures that they're doing on trying to get Warner Brothers over. Um, Again, ad revenue, they're going to say that's going to double again from 1.5 billion to $3 billion. But there's two specific points in the guidance I think that really dropped the stock after hours. First of all, that is the pausing of the buybacks until the Warner Brothers Discovery acquisition is over. But then also rising content cost. They grew by 10% is what they're saying this year, is what they're going to grow by 10% in 2026. So I think that was really the drop in the stock, was the pause in the buybacks and then the rising content cost. Other than that, the report was pretty good. I mean, they're going to have hefty debt levels here, but it's a cash generating machine. They're not going to be in any trouble anytime soon. Some analysts started worrying a little bit about, like, their investment grades being dropped. I don't think that's going to happen. They have enough operating income and enough free cash flow here. They're going to be just fine.
Gotcha. Cool. So you
Yeah.
bought more.
So,
You bought more
well,
thinking it's going to go higher.
I bought more after the earnings. Yes, I did. And yeah, I
This is
thought
brought
that
to you
I
by
thought the
LaCroix.
stock was going to go higher after earnings because I thought that all the crap was already priced in after like a 10% drop, for the last 6 months or whatever it was. But I was wrong. But I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, I'm an investor now because my trade went wrong, so now I'm holding. Oh, it was never meant to
I've
be a
done
trade
that.
in the first place.
I've done that many times, and I'm not too ashamed to admit I've done that. I've done that, but it turned out right in the end.
What's that kid from The Simpsons that's like, I'm in danger? You know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about.
I
Yeah,
kind of feel like some people do that. Like, I'm an investor now. That just always pops into my mind. But no, earnings I was okay with. I actually haven't had a problem with any of the earnings I've been involved with so far. I even own Microsoft stock that dropped 10% on CapEx news.
yeah, that was a
Um,
big drop.
it
Or hit.
wasn't a bad year for them, and it wasn't a bad quarter either. It's just that CapEx that got everybody shocked. The opposite end of this, Meta also doubling their capital expenditures, but the difference there was that their operating earnings are still going to be higher than they were last year, because the revenue is going to completely make up for the capex spend that they're
Everybody
increasing.
keeps doubting Zuckerberg, and he keeps coming back. He keeps coming out saying we're spending 10 billion on this, and everybody's like, "Whoa, I don't know, that's good." And then turns out next quarter he's like, "Hey, we made 12 billion off that 10 billion we spent," and they're like, "Okay, he's smart." But then he goes, "But then we're going to spend another 5 billion on this," and they're like, "Whoa, whoa, I don't know." Comes back next quarter, "Hey, we made another 10 billion off that extra 5 billion we spent," and he
Well,
keeps he keeps doing it quarter after quarter after quarter, and everybody doubts him. And at some point, you
VR.
got to say, "Hey, I'm going to quit doubting this guy. He kind of knows what he's doing."
I mean, he's smart, but VR never really paid off. So they're kind of switching their focus from VR to AI, and to, instead of the VR Oculus and stuff like that, they're switching focus to the artificial intelligence glasses, which I don't have, but I'm pointing to my glasses to make a point. But that and so they're kind of switching there, and so I understand the doubt, and I understand why up until the earnings release, the stock was only up 3% over the past 12 months. I completely get it, but the glasses are showing some promise. Let me get into the earnings here real quick.
Yeah,
So
the
the
glasses
financial
are
highlights
showing
here.
promise. They look cool. They look like they would be useful, and especially with Meta AI. Hey, Meta, can you tell me how many feet more or kilometers I got to go up and down? I would love them in Zermatt, those glasses,
Yeah.
but especially skiing down, and you could find the restaurant or whatever club you want to hit on the way down the mountain, or you could walk around Zermatt and they could tell you where everything is in augmented reality, and that's great for things like that. But on everyday use, I know where everything is in my neighborhood or in my city. What am I going to use it for? I mean, I guess I could use it for my running.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Finances look good though. Revenue was up 24% year over year to
Is this Meta?
$59.9 billion. Yes, this is the recent quarter.
Gotcha.
Earnings per share $8.88. That beat the anticipated $8.19 the analysts were looking for. Net income 22.8 billion, up 9%. Margin was 41%, down from a year ago, but that's because of increased capital expenditures that in artificial intelligence. Daily active people reached 3.58 billion people, a 7% increase year over year. And just when you think that everybody in the world's got meta apps, the family of apps, whether it's Facebook or Reels or Instagram or WhatsApp or whatever, they seem to continuously find people in corners of the globe to keep adding. And
Well, I mean, think about that for a second. 40% of the world uses one of Facebook's apps or Meta's apps every
yes,
single day.
yeah.
That's
So
crazy.
this was an additional
Every
200.
day, 40% of the world.
This was an addition of 230 million people.
They just picked up a country.
I know. Watch time. Watch time on Instagram Reels rose 30%. There's still concerns over TikTok being a competitor here, but they're continuously eating into that market share. So happy with that.
TikTok's a
Uh,
huge competitor. TikTok
adding, yeah.
steals a lot from them. It's because of TikTok's influencer program.
Well, I think Reels stole a lot from TikTok.
Think so?
Yeah, I do. Well,
I
TikTok
think
was
people.
first, right?
Here's what I hear, right? Here's what I hear. I hear that people are sick and tired of TikTok's constant ads and the constant lives from people. Like these people have to do lives in order to move up the rankings so they can sell more stuff on with products, right? And
Yeah,
people are tired of going through TikTok and seeing ad, 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 oh, alive, alive, alive. People are like, stop. I don't want to see all this. This is not why I'm on
right,
TikTok. And people
right.
are getting away from it and going over to Instagram.
Lives are actually quite annoying when you're not looking for them. But I do like the reels. And honestly, I don't think I've been on TikTok once at all in the past 3 months.
I know you're welcome. I've been handling our TikTok for us. So you're welcome. I've been on there.
Ad impressions growing 18%. Average price per ad increased by 6%. Zuckerberg said that we're seeing a major AI acceleration. Said the AI driven recommendation systems and new media formats are now primary drivers of revenue for the company. The future guidance was pretty good. I mean, the capex I think is what caught everybody's attention here because it's doubling. 73 billion I think was last year. This year they're saying it's going to be between 115 billion and 135 billion.
Huh.
But their operating income is still going to increase. And their revenue is projected to increase more this year than it has in the past 4 or 5 years. So since COVID. So that's your stock reaction. That's why it went up. Yeah, that capex spending that hurts the equity of the stockholders. But if the operational income is increasing at a faster rate, then okay, that's fine. And
Right.
no buybacks being paused here. I'm cool with it. But what I
Everybody's
want to
good with it.
know, you see the massive amounts of money that Microsoft's spending on AI intelligence. You see the massive amounts of money that Amazon's spending, the massive amounts of money that Meta's spending here. Where's the money going? Who's getting that money?
NVIDIA. Let's get
Right?
in some of it.
Nvidia. Yeah, let's get into that. All right. So we're looking at for Meta. They're going into the super intelligence labs, which they're telling us by the end of this year we're going to really see, start to see the effects of super intelligence, basically artificial intelligence that learns on its own.
I thought they were
Um,
talking about us.
I know, right? Uh, so the super intelligence labs getting a lot of that money. Power and infrastructure is getting a lot of that money. Vertical integration, basically, where you're allocating money to the fabrication and deployment of training and inference and accelerator chips and so on, custom silicon, blah blah blah, all the things you need for artificial intelligence.
I got a
Why?
question.
Here's the big
Are
news
they
that
going
I
to be
think.
doing quantum computing, or do they feel like it's not necessary with AI?
Yeah, they're going to be doing quantum computing.
So
That's what.
quantum computing is still necessary even with AI.
Yeah, and Nvidia is leading that charge.
Is it because what about D-Wave Quantum or other companies like that? D-Wave Quantum just moved from California to Florida, their headquarters, and they're a leading company in the quantum computing realm. They've done business with Google and other companies as well. And the reason why I question is there's companies like D-Wave and others that are still you still have a huge run up on the stock that could happen if quantum computing takes off. But my hesitancy in investing in them is because we don't need them if we have AI. The computers can just go ahead and do the work of a quantum computer using all the other computers around with AI. We don't need a quantum
We need somebody that
processor.
knows more about this technology to comment on that than I do, to be honest with you.
Okay,
So
well,
I
so I've
saw
done
that.
what I'm hearing is I've done more research than you on this. I am still hesitant then to invest in them, even though you're saying that Meta's investing in quantum computing.
Yes.
That makes me question,
And
okay,
super
do they
intelligence.
do they
Yes.
not have faith in AI, or is AI going to use the quantum computers to do this?
The way that I understand is that they're going to go hand in hand.
So AI is
It's
using
kind
the
of the,
quantum computers.
after watching Nvidia and their conference that they had a few weeks ago prior to the show that we did a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, I think it's going to be going hand in hand.
So then it would be smart to invest in one of these quantum computing companies, such as D-Wave. That would be a buy then.
Meta is trying to do it all on their own.
I'm sure they are, but these companies like D-Wave already have the infrastructure and everything in place better.
I would.
The only
I
company
mean, I
with
don't.
a the only company right now that I'm aware of that has actually been using a quantum computer for years and actually has had one in use for years is Google. The other ones have only just recently, the past couple of years, been producing and being able to make these and run these because they're very, very expensive. Google's the one of the few companies that had the cash on hand to go ahead and just say, "Hey, let's build a quantum computer and use it," because we got the billions of dollars to do it.
And that's what Meta's doing right now with the super intelligence. My biggest thing
But
here
then
too, and one
why
of the
did Google stop at one if it's so good?
I don't know. I
See,
don't
that's a
know.
real question though. Like, if it's so good and it's the future, why are you stopping at one? Why wouldn't you make like four or five? That's why I question this. And sorry, so I hate to derail your conversation about Meta. I hate to derail it, but this is why when people, because I've had people recently say, "Hey, are you investing in quantum computing?" I say, "Well, no, because I have too many questions. If it's so good, why did Google only build one? If it's so good, why are we investing in AI and not quantum computing?" And what caught my ear was when you said quantum computing for Meta, and I'm just like, okay, so Meta's now investing in quantum
In the
computing.
super intelligence, yeah.
Why?
I don't know
Why?
how much is going quantum computing, how much is going into AI. All I'm doing is looking at the numbers, to be honest with you.
Well, I want to know this
For the
because
whole.
there's investment opportunities for potential huge gains on these companies if this is in fact going to be a future, or if because I always just assumed that AI was going to lead the way and we wouldn't need quantum computers because AI can do the work of a quantum computer. But now we're investing in quantum computing again. Is Google going to build more than the one they have? I mean, what's going on?
Well, let's look into that for the next show.
And
Because
I'm
I mean, I do
wrong.
think it
Do they
is
have more than one
interesting to
already?
know.
And
And
I
then,
just
like, what is the difference? Like, do you need quantum computing for AI?
Computing can run so many tasks at once in a quantum computer compared to a
Sure.
regular computer system. It's developed for doing mass amounts of information and things very quickly all at once within the self. But in order to, and it's the way that it's, if I man, I'm gonna mess this up. And I'm not a computer guy, so if you're listening, you're an IT guy, and I'm just completely butchering this. I apologize now. But from what I understand, it's the way the coils and the wiring work is that what makes it so expensive to do and how it's able to run so fast. I may be completely wrong on that. I'm not an IT guy.
Right.
I'm not. That's not my specialty. But that's
So
from what my understanding of it is.
my big thing here too, and what I think really triggered the stock to go higher and after hours was that Mark Zuckerberg said that the losses in Reality Labs are going to peak this year. So we don't have a time frame yet for profitability on this, but we're looking at peak losses at least this year. He said they're going to be similar next year, and then after that, they're going to start tapering off the losses and heading towards profitability. I asked Gemini to estimate a year of profitability. She said 2030, give or take a year or two,
Oh,
essentially.
nice.
That's what she said. I don't know.
I
I think
I
that's
love
what
VR.
everybody was looking for. I think that is what people were holding off on buying this. I think it's what held the stock down for the past year was we don't have a timeline on profitability. We don't have any visibility on the
No,
profitability for Reality Labs. The metaverse has not worked out the way that Mark Zuckerberg made me excited about it years ago,
I'm waiting for
and
you to
it hasn't
finish, and
worked
I'm going
out.
to blow your argument out of the water. Go ahead,
I
finish.
mean, it hasn't worked yet, right? But now we're seeing the VR glasses, not the VR glasses, but the augmented reality glasses. The revenue's tripled in the past year. So we're heading in the right direction, at least. And that's why I think the stock popped 10%. Go ahead.
Okay, you ready?
Go ahead.
Nobody cares about Reality Labs. He doesn't spend enough money on it. He
Yes, he
doesn't
does,
lose. Hold
dude.
on, hold
That's
on.
the
Let me
biggest
finish. I let you
losses.
finish. I let you finish. Let me finish. I let you finish. You let me finish. He doesn't spend enough money on it to and lose enough money on it for people really to care because the profit in every other sector of the business
Makes up for it.
covers of it. So
Sure,
nobody really cares that much about it.
but it's eye popping. Yeah, I mean, why did the stock only move 3% in 12 months? Then, if
Because it
that's the
already had a
case,
run up the past 3, 4 years when they was dumping money in Reality Labs.
I mean, that's true, and that's why I made five
So
percent
so
times my
look at
money on
that.
it.
I mean,
But
look at the run up, man. He was dumping more money in Reality Labs at bigger losses years ago when the stock was moving up like 3, 4 times.
right, but that's also what led to the year of efficiency a couple of years ago too, because there was so much shareholder pressure on the amount of money that was being thrown into Reality Labs that we weren't getting back yet.
You
I mean,
needed
that
to. You
was
need to invest in something a lot in order to see a big return. But
and
you're never going to see the return you out of Reality Labs that you think you will out of like say an Xbox console or a PlayStation console. It's just
sure.
not there, and it's not going
Uh,
to be there with the technology we have nowadays.
yeah, it's. I mean, yeah, that's.
VR is
I love
fun. VR is
Oculus.
cool. I love VR. I've been
So do
playing VR
I.
for over 10 years now. I have had a VR system in my house. So I am definitely one of the first players of VR. I remember back in the day when there was one server for a game, and I could get on there and play some guy in Russia. Now there's a server for each part of the country on different games. So I mean, I that's how long I've been playing VR. I love VR. Don't get me wrong, but there's not this big broad base of VR players.
Yeah, no, well, that's because we're used to, grade A gold standard games like Red Dead Redemption 2 that you
I
can't fit on a VR headset yet.
Now you
And
can
now,
A, you're wrong, but B, it's because, and this is my firm belief here, we don't have the friend groups of people when you say, "Hey, buddy, we're getting on Call of Duty. Let's get on 6 o'clock, play some Call of Duty." You don't have people doing that for VR. Even though I have tried, Brandon, to get people on and play these games with me, you don't have people meeting up and playing these multiplayer games together like they should be, which would grow the games. You
well,
have a couple of them. You have a couple.
Lindsay plays the VR games. You play the VR games. I haven't been able to get on my headset because of my neck, but I get
That's true.
on and I watch. I'm kind of a hillbilly. Professional wrestling and the widescreen TV. Watch Hulk Hogan slam Andre in front of 93,000 in the Pontiac Silverdome. WrestleMania 3 blowing that up was pretty cool. You could get on there, watch, even Hulu doesn't really support it, but you can get on Hulu on there and watch the live football games. Netflix does support it. So if you want to watch a Netflix movie, blow it up as wide as you want, basically, and watch the movie. I do that. That's what I do. I haven't been too impressed myself with the VR games that
Because
are on
you
there.
haven't gotten into them.
Maybe
Yeah. Anyways, moving forward. We're
moving
done with
forward.
Meta. You're saying Meta's a buy. Got
I'm
it.
saying I'm saying that it is, but I also want to look at these companies that are going to be benefiting from all of this capital expenditures that Meta's pushing out and Microsoft's putting out
What
and
companies?
everything.
List
And
a
by the way,
couple.
let
Our
me give
listeners
you
want
one.
to know what companies. List
Okay,
a couple.
you know what? I'll give you one that I gave you May of last year, and I'm up 92% on since first buying the stock, and
So it's
that's
already
AS.
ran up. So we missed out. We want to hear one
No.
we have a chance of
Okay,
making money
but you
in.
said the same thing about Nvidia years ago, and by the way, so did I. I'm going to own up to it, but I don't think you missed out on ASML yet. I think the growth is still coming on ASML. They're
What does
massive beneficiary.
ASML do for someone who doesn't know?
Okay, well, they make the quantum, not the quantum, but they make the lithography that manufactures the chips. So, and it's the high performing lithography. And they're the only ones that do it for the most advanced chips. They have a monopoly on this. So, they're a massive beneficiary. So, for example, let me base it. Let me scale this down a little bit so that people understand what I'm saying. NVIDIA designs the chips. ASML is the only company in the world that is building the EUV lithography to make those chips possible, the advanced ones. The only company in the world that's doing it. They've got a monopoly on this. So if big tech wants powerful AI, they need the 3 nanometer, 2 nanometer chips. They cannot do this without ASML.
Gotcha. So ASML, strong buy, Brandon.
Still,
They're in these advanced chips that you need, and you can't do it without ASML. So yeah,
yes.
I would agree with you. If those
And,
statements are true, I agree with you. It's a strong buy.
and they just reported earnings January 28th. Bookings more than doubled to 13.2 billion euros, far exceeded analyst expectations. I think they're based in the Netherlands, if I remember correctly.
Gotcha.
Could have put that in my notes, but yeah. Huge step up in capacity plans for their biggest customers. The big deal here that you're looking for, okay, if you're looking at AMD, Intel, the foundry builders and such, they may not realize their revenue this year if those foundries aren't ready to go for these big pieces of equipment. I mean, some of these things are like the size of tour buses. So, um, Taiwan Semiconductors just raised its 2026 capex to $52 billion. A lot of that is earmarked for ASML's machines. And
Gotcha.
that's just one company. So if you didn't follow me into ASML, at least follow me into Vistra because that's the other one for power. We were just talking about this a couple of weeks ago. I think I'm
2
down a
weeks
little.
ago,
I think I'm down a
VST.
little. I think I might be down a little bit on it, but I don't care.
So good time to get in,
Good time to get in. I agree.
right?
Yeah.
That's what we say when we see a stock down a little bit. Good time to get
Yep.
in.
Yep. Also, for ASML, for the first time, memory chip makers like Micron are now a dominant part of ASML's order book. I would look at Micron and Broadcom as well. They're going to be big beneficiaries of this capex as well. So if you get a pullback on either one of those stocks, might as well jump into those too. I think all of these things need to be in your portfolio. I know there's a lot of talk at the beginning of the year about people, cycling out of artificial intelligence, going into small caps and such. People are going to get back into it. You can't get by without these in your portfolio now. You're not going to beat the market without these in your portfolio now. So,
Gotcha.
the next thing I wanted to get into here, Disney earnings are coming up, and I have been bullish on Disney.
Oh, we could get into the Disney earnings in a minute.
Okay.
We could get into Disney earnings in a minute. If that's all you have left, can we transition into what I got?
Sure. But then I still want to talk about Disney because I want to tell people what I'm looking at because we get text all the time about this, right?
We do.
So I
Yes.
want to give people what you're looking for in the Disney report that's going to move the stock and convince me whether or not I'm going to stay in it. So.
All right, so that's a perfect transition into where I'm going to next. Let's get into this. We got a what?
Let me correct myself here. So
why?
Quantum computing is not a part of the super intelligence. You asked me that. I didn't know. I know where the numbers are going. I know what their guidance looked like. I like that. Zuckerberg is actually a critic of quantum computing. He believes that, They can use 600,000 NVIDIA H100 GPUs and classical computing basic chips. As long as you feed enough data into it, then you can achieve super intelligence. You don't need the quantum computer.
There you
So,
go. So basically, you could do the same thing with just more hardware. Quantum computing condenses it into smaller hardware,
right.
which would be better for our environment and for space. But I mean, it's cheaper to not use it.
I saw the visualization of it when NVIDIA's CEO was doing his presentation a few weeks ago, but he was speaking
All right.
a different language to me.
Let's get into what I want to talk about because we talk about Brandon. Brandon, you monopolize like most of the show here.
Well, you don't need to know necessarily all about quantum computing and super intelligence as long as you trust the management of the company you own and you can read a balance sheet. You know what I mean?
All right. All right. Moving on. Here we go. I got a couple headlines I want to get into. First headline: this came out today at 12:16 p.m. Eastern Time on February 1st. It's a Reuters headline. The headline reads: U.S. FDA launches program to boost domestic drug manufacturing. United States Food and Drug Administration on Sunday began accepting requests to participate in its pre-check pilot program. So it's designed to boost domestic drug supply by speeding up construction and review of drug manufacturing plants in the country. So they're going to streamline permits, constructions, FDA approval, because anytime you're manufacturing drugs, the FDA has approved the process, approved the facility design, because you're going to be using machines to manufacture drugs that people are going to be taking, right? FDA has got to be part of it, as well as other organizations. So in order to get this done faster, the current administration had an executive order in May of last year to shift manufacturing drugs to the United States. So in line with that, the FDA has got approval to go ahead and create this like a TSA pre-check program, if you will. They estimate it's going to cut off a minimum of 4 to 6 months off the fastest prior approval process. So again, making it faster for companies to go ahead and get this done. Now, this is interesting that they announced this before this week because we're going to get into earnings this week, and there's a number of healthcare companies that have earnings this week that I'm interested to see what they have to say on this. Brandon, first thoughts?
I hope it's quicker, but also more efficient.
I hope it's more efficient as well. We need more efficiency in our process. We are
Right.
very bureaucratic in every aspect of our federal government right now.
But effectiveness goes along with efficiency. So hopefully they don't cut effectiveness because I
Exactly.
don't think they've been effective enough at all. And they've taken
Right?
way too long to do things. So,
Um, so right now I want to talk about Lens Therapeutics is one I own. I'm down on. I've lowered my cost basis on this tremendously to where now I'm in the lower 20s of my cost basis for the stock. However, the stock is at 1582. I started buying in at 40. That's how far it's dropped. I am not happy. I'm not very happy with this company. And I was gonna come on here and just say sell, take your loss. However, there are some things that have really changed my opinion about this.
okay.
Number one things they have all rolled out, and I shared a social media post in some of our chat groups about this, of a new ad campaign featuring Sarah Jessica Parker. That's going to be good for this company since they do target a target audience of 50 plus. Sarah Jessica Parker is a good pick for that target audience, I believe, in trying to get more people to use their therapeutics, their eye drops. Also, the biggest
Why
thing
Sarah Jessica Parker? I know she has a lot of fans. I get the whole Sex in the City thing. I get that, but I don't understand why her.
she's in that age group.
Okay.
She's in that age group. That's
I mean,
why.
honestly,
You're
she's
not in that age group. That's why you don't get it.
Dave. She's looked the same for 30 years, and she's always looked like a wrinkled big toe
You just don't get it. It's fine. Moving on.
or horse.
Here's one thing that's really kept me from saying sell today, and that is that BlackRock owns 4.9% of this company. BlackRock they almost own the amount where they have to legally let everyone know, and they have to like publicize that they own 5% of the company. They own 4.9999% of Lens Therapeutics. They are just shy of making that decision of a possible takeover, not takeover, move in, take a seat on the board of directors type position. I believe that BlackRock has moved into this. Lens Therapeutics gave them some of the stock. So that means there's a deal behind the scenes here we're not aware of. That makes me not sell, makes me hold on in hopes that if BlackRock is owning this, there might be some uh, other thought behind it, something going on missing. I'm missing
There's a
here.
reason for it. Yeah.
Yeah, a reason for it, something I'm missing. So, Brandon, thoughts on that news on Lens that their new ad campaign just now rolled out. Hopefully, that's going to equal into sales. And B, BlackRock owning 4.9% of the company. Any thoughts that comes to mind for you?
Well, I guess it's they have a really famous horse hawking their products on TV now.
There you
Buy my
go.
eye
So,
drops.
hopefully it works. Hopefully it works because the eye drops works and they have more competition, which is why it dropped recently. They dropped over 20% because of the competition rolling out. Everybody's copying what they have. And so
I mean, I
it's
would say if you own it and just like if you own it and you're down a little bit, yeah, hold it and see what comes, but I wouldn't buy it based on that.
Yeah, no. I'm not saying buy it. I'm saying if you followed me into this and you followed me in dollar cost averaging, I was gonna say sell, but then I'm like, let's hold. BlackRock's in
Right.
on it. They just rolled out the ad campaign. Let's see what Q1 brings.
Sure.
That's what I'm gonna say. All right. All right. So having said all that, there's a couple things I want to get into. We don't have too much time, but I want to talk about a couple things because earnings has a lot. We got a lot we don't cover of earnings. First thing is, I bring this up every year, the first podcast in February. Brandon, this is no different this year. You know where I'm going to go with this, Brandon. January barometer for the month of January. The Dow Jones, the S&P, and the Russell 2000 all were positive. That indicates that for the whole 12-month period of this year, they will end the year positive. The January barometer is, I believe, you might have to Google me on this, but I think it's somewhere near 80% correct. It's
Mm.
very high correct at predicting how the year is going to go. So I
So
am very much a
almost,
fan of the January barometer.
but almost 80% of the months, the S&P 500, I would say, and I'm just guessing here, to be honest with you, but I would say 80 to 90% of the time the S&P 500 winds up for any given month.
Yeah.
And I
So
would say it's
here's the thing.
probably the same for every year as well.
Here's the thing that this make the January barometer makes it right is that when January is down, the rest of the year is down. So it's predicting when it's going to have a down year as well, not just up years, down years as well.
Okay.
The prediction for the year has been 80% correct.
Understood.
So right now, because they were all positive, that tells us that it's going to be a positive year for the overall markets. Whether or not your company you're invested in is positive, I'm talking to everybody here, not just you, Brandon,
Yeah.
is a different story. You got to look at the fundamentals and why you are buying into that or not.
Well, I opened a fortune cookie, Dave, the other day, and it said that Dave is going to interrupt you the entire show, the next podcast. And it was right.
You did interrupt me every single step of the way today. You need to let me talk. It's only
That
fair
was
I let you
you.
talk. You don't let me
Turn that
talk.
around.
Here we go. Earnings, ready? First one on my list. Brandon's already going to bring it up. Monday's earnings, Disney. I have my notes here saying expected down.
You
This is
think
top of
so?
my notes for Disney. Go ahead,
You
Brandon.
think so? All right. Let me just tell you what I'm looking for here because I've been very frustrated. Only up 19% on the stock that I've owned for like 4 freaking years now. Waiting for Bob Iger's turnaround plan to push the stock higher.
I haven't heard
Not
of it.
happened yet.
Yeah, does it exist yet? What's going on?
I mean, it does. But what I'm looking for here, analysts are looking for an earnings of $1.57. They beat their earnings quite a bit. I don't care that much about that. I want to look at the revenue because the revenue misses have been stupid. Recent quarters have shown slight revenue misses despite the earnings beats, but the top line growth for Disney has been a struggle. I want 5%. Give me 5% or close to 5%. I'll be okay with it. Not going to be super happy with 5%, but I'll be okay with 5%. Parks and cruises, 2026. This coming year is supposed to be major for their experiences segment. New cruise ships are launching. Theme park expansions are supposed to start paying off this year. I want to hear some commentary about that at least. I don't have numbers that I'm looking at, but give me some positive commentary on your experiences segment because 2026 is supposed to be an inflection point for that. I want to hear sometime soon, at least, who is going to be replacing Bob Iger.
It's going to be somebody, and then Bob Iger will come back again.
They said early 2026 this is expected. I mean, this has been unclear.
I nominate Brandon Beaver.
And you've been talking about this, Dave. Who? Yeah, I think I would do a good job, Dave.
I don't know.
I think I'd do.
I think you'd be all right.
Yeah.
You would trust the people below you to give you the right guidance and advice.
Exactly.
But then,
it's not that I'm not doing anything, Dave. It's not that I'm being lazy. It's that I'm trusting everybody else to do it.
Right.
That's
why I tell all my subordinates.
I do want pre-opening expenses of all this new stuff to be around $160 million for the expansion and the parks. Let's see if they give that number. But I want positive guidance on that. I want streaming margins to improve. I want 10% net profit. 10% net profit. That's close to Netflix. I'll be fine with it. I want to hear about the legacy media decline. I want to start seeing the decline in their legacy TV channels and such start to taper off because that's been really, really bad the past couple of years.
Legacy's declining everywhere, though, except for sports.
It is, but I want to see for Disney that we're getting to a bottom. For example, last year, traditional TV operating profit for Disney fell 21%. I don't want to see that again. And I want to hear about the ESPN streaming service that just recently launched. I want to know how that's doing. And I want it to be good. I don't have any more specifics about that. But, I if they pass my test on all this, say, for example, like one thing missed or whatever, maybe I'm holding the stock. But, I mean, this is really like this quarter is going to be another decision point for me. Am I holding this thing still? Do I think there's opportunity cost in the future? Or am I just, cutting this thing loose? We'll see.
Are you an investor now? I guess I'm an investor now. All right, so that's what you're looking for. So if you hear those things and it's all good, you're still in. But if you hear those things and it's all negative, or you don't hear what you want to hear, you're out.
I'm out.
Let me know so I can post it on Tuesday.
Okay.
So text me on, and then if you're listening right now, I'll post on Tuesday what Brandon says.
Sure.
There you go. All right.
I also have Gemini on Monday right now. By the way, Dave, I've got Gemini set right now to generate a report instantly on the earnings as soon as they come out. Because I'm going to listen to the conference call on my way home from work. Yeah. And then I am going to read that report from Gemini.
Nice.
Yeah, good stuff.
All right. Also on Monday, we have Palantir. Palantir coming out on Monday. Brandon's a big fan of Palantir, and yes. We'll see what they have to say Monday morning. Tuesday, I got a couple different things listed here for Tuesday. Grainger is one. Now, first of all, there are lots of earnings this week. Just because I put it on my list doesn't mean it's the best of the best. There are other companies. There's lots of earnings this week. These are just the ones I'm interested in. All right. We have Grainger on Tuesday. The reason why I'm interested in the Grainger is it sells to businesses, and I want to know what the health of the American business is.
Right. You're going to get a lot about manufacturing with Grainger. You're going to hear a lot about that.
That's what I'm looking for at Grainger. Hut 8 mining. You're like, why are we care about Hut 8 mining? Well, I don't really care about Hut 8 mining. What I care about is if Hut 8 mining and other miners are continuing to lose money, are we losing Bitcoin miners? Because if Bitcoin miners are losing money and getting out of here, who's going to mine the Bitcoin? And that's going to be a problem for Bitcoin. That means Bitcoin's going to go down, and Ethereum and others are going to go down at first, but then they will turn around and go back up. Will it finally be a separation of Bitcoin from the other coins, the ones who don't have to be mined the same way that Bitcoin is mined? Will there finally be a separation? I don't know. Let me hear what H8 has to say on theirs. Are they continuing to lose money? Is it going to be another loss of a quarter? We'll see and see what they have to say going forward. Also on Tuesday, we have Merck and Pfizer. The reason I put them both on here is because the new FDA fast track on the U.S. manufacturing. I want to see if they have any news that just got released today. Are they planning on building some facilities here in the United States? Merck and Pfizer probably should be. AMD is also on Tuesday with chips. And then one that is just a fan favorite of Brandon and I, Take Two Interactive, coming out on Tuesday. Are they finally going to release a new Grand Theft Auto? They should.
Coming November this year,
You say that, but
supposedly.
then they'll delay it again.
Yeah.
And then Red Dead. Are they going to have another Red Dead? Red Dead 2 was fantastic for Take Two Interactive. It jumped the stock. It did hundreds of millions of dollars in that first week. It was
It's in
fantastic.
pre-production.
So we'll see. We'll see what they have to say on this earnings call on Tuesday, Brandon. On Wednesday, one company that I constantly recommend and I currently own, Ares Capital. I own it for a dividend play. ARCC is the ticker. They're going to report on Wednesday. I'm interested in that. Eli Lilly, that's one I own. Also want to see what they have to say about the new fast track. Are they planning on building any facilities here in the United States? And also, I want to update on their cholesterol drug. That's one of the reasons why I mainly got into that and their weight loss drug as well. That Brandon's a fan of the weight loss drugs. I know. GE Healthcare also coming out on Wednesday. GlaxoSmithKline on Wednesday. There's a lot of healthcare companies out this week, but big ones on Wednesday. Alphabet, that's Google, should be a good earning for Google. I want to see what they have to say about going forward guidance. I know they had a good quarter. I'm expecting a good quarter. I'm expecting good numbers. I want to see what they have to say going forward. Brandon, interrupt me anytime on this earnings roll, anytime you
You
want
know,
to.
I think the band-aid's been taken off about the AI spend. So I don't think that whatever Google announces is going to surprise anybody on that.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think it's
Yeah.
gonna, yeah. It's the guidance is, yeah, but yeah.
Microsoft ripped that band-aid off. So
Well, you also have ARM Holdings, who's a big AI chip play on Wednesday as well.
yep.
Qualcomm AI chip play on Wednesday. Qualcomm coming out on Wednesday. Then on Thursday, that two peas in the pod, if you will, we got Amazon on Thursday. Amazon on Thursday. That's going to be a big one. I want to see where they're saying after the report their Q4 Christmas sales. Did they have a good Q4 Black Friday, whatever, yada, yada, yada.
Amazon
Amazon
Web
probably did.
Services is going to be a huge deal for them. Again,
That's
every year.
exactly where I was going. AWS. How is the health of AWS? Did Google steal from them? We know Microsoft didn't steal from them. How is
Well, you know
AWS
what?
doing
Cloud growth for Microsoft, I think, and I don't have the numbers in front of me. I think it was like 30%. So it
Well,
wasn't
maybe they did
bad. I
steal.
mean, it
Yeah.
wasn't as good as what was priced into the stock, but it wasn't bad.
Well, there you go. There you go. The last one I have on here is a firm. The reason why I put a firm on here is I want to see the delinquency rates of a firm. I want to see how many people are using a firm. Did it jump? If it did jump, that's not necessarily a good thing for the
Yeah.
economy. That means more people are using a firm to make discretionary purchases, which we don't need to do as an economy.
And I think they are, but I also would not buy a firm ahead of earnings right now. I think that inflation is hurting the working class and the poor and a firm's customer base, essentially, way more than it is hurting everybody else. Really, right now, the upper middle class and the wealthy are carrying the economy. I mean, we just heard Colgate Palmolive's report from last week. They said that like they're feeling the pinch too. Normally, you know, the toothpaste, they were using toothpaste as an example. They'll do a deal where you buy one tube of toothpaste, you get the other tube of toothpaste like half off or something like that, and people
Yeah,
are completely passing that up. Whereas they used
really.
to do, but yeah.
Well,
So
there you go. And so a firm is going to paint the picture, and I'm looking for delinquency rates. I'm looking for how much subprime is in the firm, and if it's all filled with subprime and they're having a 8% delinquency rate, that's not good.
right.
I want to see what they have to say and have that how they break down their numbers. But yeah, that's the earnings this week. That's what I got. Brandon, final thought.
I'm going to give you a final thought that doesn't have anything to do with stocks. Is that okay?
That is fine.
Okay.
It is our show. We do what we want.
I've got this little like house decorative thing that I got from IKEA on
Okay,
my.
this is not okay now.
It is. It came. It was worked at IKEA for 14 years, and they gave me this little house decorative thing. I got a bunch of other things from them too. They did really good for me, but including this plaque up here on the wall. But anyways, and I was supposed to get with the other people were having their last day. We were supposed to design these little houses and make them look nice and create some memories and such. Instead, what I did, because I was still trying to do my job up until the very last minute that I was there, I pushed that thing aside. I wrote like my last date on it and then just pushed it aside. And I was thinking about this yesterday, and what I was thinking was that, like, I don't even remember what I was doing, and it probably doesn't even matter anymore, right? Like, nobody knows what I was doing. My boss probably has absolutely no clue if you were to ask them what I was doing. And the point is, take time to make memories, because if I would have taken the time to get with the other people and actually decorate that, it would mean something to me, and I would remember that rather than pushing it off and do the menial task that I thought was so important at that point in time.
Right. I like
That's
that.
what,
I like that final thought.
yeah,
I'm going to build on that final thought. Life is short, man.
right.
Life is short. If you're listening right now, we want
Uh,
you to invest. We want you to put,
life is short, so buy Nvidia.
yeah, right. We want you to invest. We want you to make money because we want you to enjoy life. Our lives, my life has completely changed from investing in stocks. Brandon's life is now at that inflection point where I would say, if to correct me if I'm wrong, fair to say, but it's starting to change from
Right,
investing in stocks. And once that starts happening and your life changes from this investing, you're able to do so much more. Years ago, 10 years ago, I would never have thought I'd be on a ski trip to Switzerland, catching the F1 race, going to Tokyo, doing all these things I'm doing this year, and, possibly renting a yacht and going around the Caribbean. That's going to be fun if I actually go through with it. But I mean, I never thought these things would be happening. Life is short. Enjoy it. Spend time with family, friends. That's more important than whether or not I made 10% off this last stock or this, thing. Is
right.
whether or not did I ask that person out? Did I go out and do that thing? Did take a chance on these things? Yeah, they may fail. Yeah, you may miss. Yeah, that person may turn out to tell me no. That's fine. Because you know what? I would have regretted it more not saying something. And I would
Exactly.
regret it more not asking out. That's more important to me. Live your life. Do what you want to do. I say be healthy, read your Bible, and learn how to invest.
Sure.
Be a good person. Be a good person. Be kind.
Right.
We're all hurt in some way, shape, or form. Be kind. So
Exactly.
there you go. As always, we hope we have been entertaining, educational, and uplifting because we want everyone to make money. Have a good night.
Have a good night.